p.m. Jody?
Please note, Committee of the Whole meetings are streamed live and recorded on YouTube. Attendees acknowledge that in accordance with Section 20 Sub 2 of the Access to Information Act and Section 4 Sub C of the Protection of Privacy Act, names, addresses, and other details provided when speaking at a council meeting will be publicly shared. Should you have any questions related to the collection or disclosure of personal information, please contact the Legislative and Advisory Services Division for the Town of High River by sending an email to atip@highriver.ca. That's ATIPP@highriver.ca.
Thanks, Jody. Adoption of today's agenda. Ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk, the Committee of the Whole adopt the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting June 8th as presented.
Happy to give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the last meeting minutes. Ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that the Committee of the Whole adopt the minutes from the May 25th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting as presented.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. One delegation that we have today is from 100 Women Who Care Foothills. And I know Terry and Candace are both here. Come on up.
Okay. Good, the slideshow's working, otherwise we'd have to do like interpretive dance.
Yeah. That won't be pretty.
No.
All right, ready to go? My name is Terry Perrin. I'm the chair of 100 Women Who Care Foothills. On behalf of my vice chair, Candace McCormick, and the more than 35 community organizations that we've supported over the past 10 years, thank you for this opportunity to present and showcase 100 Women Who Care Foothills at today's Town of High River's Committee of the Whole meeting. I asked to present to Council after attending the Volunteer Appreciation event at Highwood Golf Course in June, and thank you to the town for hosting that great event. While enjoying appetizers and chatting with some of the other people in the room, councillors included, it came to my attention that many people there were not aware of the good work being done by 100 Women Who Care Foothills. So we're here today on an awareness mission, and we're not asking for any funding. That's not how our model works. We would, however, appreciate it if anyone in attendance could help spread the word about our mission to help us continue to grow, and in doing so, increase our impact on Foothills County charities, because we give where we live.
All right, so let's start off with what we are not. So 100 Women Who Care Foothills is not a registered charity. We are not a nonprofit society. We're not a service club or a social club, and we are not a networking group, nor are we unique to the Foothills. Next slide, please. 100 Women Who Care Foothills is part of a global alliance of 100% volunteer-run giving collectives. There are actually more than 800 chapters around the world, but each chapter remains 100% local in membership, stewardship, and community support. Chapters may be compromised of people who are walks of all life, men, women, teens, kids, and even businesses. 100% of the collective donations go to local charities. We are non-denominational, we are non-partisan, and we are making a significant difference by providing significant unrestricted funding to local charities.
Next slide, please. But what exactly is a giving collective? So the idea of a giving collective started in Michigan in 2006 when a woman there needed to raise $10,000 to support her local women's shelter in the purchase of cribs and bedding. So she gathered 100 women for a luncheon and asked them each to donate $100 and raised $12,800 in just 1 hour. Word spread about this event's success, and chapters began starting up across the USA and Canada, and eventually around the world. Next slide. In 2015, an Okotoks woman named Karen Love was working for a nonprofit that received funding from 100 Women Who Care Calgary's inaugural event. So she decided to start an Okotoks chapter, because why not? The first meeting for the new Okotoks chapter was held in November 2015 and raised $2,600 for Foothills Country Hospice. In August 2016, the name was changed to Foothills to reflect the fact that local charities serve a large geographic region here, as defined by county lines, not by the electoral district. Charity selection events have been held quarterly ever since, even through the pandemic years when face masks and social distancing were the norm. In fact, those were some of our most successful years ever. Our largest single donation to date was over $13,000 to help a young Okotoks boy acquire a service dog.
Next slide, please. So how does it work? We promise you it's very simple, but it's very powerful. Our members gather 4 times a year for 1 hour for our charity selection events. Each one of these events provides an opportunity to learn about what's happening right here in the foothills and contribute to meaningful local impact. Guests are always welcome to attend our meetings and see how it works. Next slide, please. Our membership is open to anyone who identifies as a woman and lives in or operates a business within the Foothills County. They simply sign up online. They commit to contribute a minimum of a $100 donation at each of our 4 quarterly charity selection events held at various locations throughout the foothills. Individual CRA tax receipts are issued by the charities and not us. There's also an optional $20 annual membership fee to help us cover operating costs. Events may be attended in person, online, or not at all, but your donation is still required. Attendance is recommended because it is a great way to learn about the great work being done in our community, but it is not mandatory. The concept of 100 women, $100, and 1 hour makes a big impact. There's no bake sales, no raffle tickets, and no volunteering at casinos. You just sign up, pay up, and make a collective impact.
Our members nominate the causes closest to their heart for consideration, and all charities are vetted in advance to ensure that they are a registered nonprofit able to issue CRA tax receipts, that they provide services exclusively to communities within Foothills County, and they meet all other criteria as written in our terms of reference. Once approved, their names go in a nomination pot, and 4 times a year we draw the names of 3 charities and invite them to speak at our event. Each charity has 5 minutes to speak from the heart and present their cause, and to ensure an equal playing field for all, regardless of the size of the charity, they are allowed no props, no PowerPoints, and no printed materials. Following a short Q&A, the members vote, and the charity with the highest number of votes is awarded 100% of that quarter's donations as unrestricted funding. The names of the runners-up go back into the draw for future opportunities to present. We've supported everything from mental health to food security, literacy, animal rescue, therapeutic riding, affordable housing, and so much more. To date, we've made 42 donations to 35 local charities. Some have gotten funding more than once. And collectively, we've raised $325,200. In March, we donated $10,000 to Habitat for Humanity's latest build in High River, and these funds went towards the purchase of soil, trees, and sod, allowing us to truly put down roots in our community. We currently have 100 names on our membership roster, but we don't stop there. The higher our numbers, the greater our impact. Because 100 or more women coming together, powerful things happen. Our next meeting is June 11th at the Turner Valley Golf Course, and anyone attending here today is welcome to sign up to join us online or in person and learn more at 100 Women Who Care Foothills. And I also have some wrap cards if anyone else is interested. So thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Candace.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? It's all pretty simple. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for your time.
Should I just leave this here then, or?
You bet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Northeast ASP Transportation Network scenario, Sarah. This is an
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. This report provides an overview for the two transportation network scenarios for the Northeast Area Structure Plan that are presented to you today. Town administration and V3, who has been our consultant for this project, are currently working on this area structure plan and accompanying functional servicing report. To support this work, V3 has prepared the technical memo that is part of your agenda packages today, which outlines two possible transportation networks options in that Northeast ASP area. This review was initiated in response to concerns that were raised in the February 2026 landowner engagement session regarding the proposed frontage road or service road along the highway. Those same concerns were also raised at the February 2026 Council information session. At Council's request, B3 has evaluated these two scenarios. Scenario 1 includes converting this 20th Street connector from a curve into a right angle intersection. It also, yes, perfect. Curve into a right angled intersection. It also involves keeping the location and design of 112th Street as is, adding a frontage road parallel to and just west of Highway 2 that would connect directly to 24th Street in our southeast, and adding a new east-west road that would connect 112th Street near the northern extent of the project boundary area, and then would extend east along land that is currently privately owned to the proposed frontage road. And then the second scenario, scenario 2, would maintain the existing 20th Street East connector curve as it looks today. It would also keep the location and design of 112th Street as is. It would not include adding a frontage road along the highway. It would, however, include adding an additional east-west road that would connect 112th Street, but this time further south, and then extend east across different land that is also currently privately owned, also to reach that 112th Street intersection. Within the technical memo, V3 concludes that scenario 1, the first scenario, is the preferred long-term option. The reasons for this include better parcel layout. It would actually be replacing the 20th Street curve with right-angled intersections to have a better parcel layout for future development. Better support for future subdivision through 2 parallel roads as opposed to just 1. So yeah, I'll be talking about scenario 2 there. So we would have 2 parallel roads as opposed to just 1 for better future subdivision. It would be better for enhanced safety. This is because it would separate the residential traffic from the industrial traffic by having scenario 1, the 2 separate roads. It would also allow for a more equitable distribution of impacts across landowners, avoiding irregularly constrained parcels. And finally, better alignment with the public feedback that we have received to date and long-term economic objectives. When I speak about public feedback we've received to date, I am specifically focused around separating out residential from industrial traffic for safety reasons. It is important to highlight the slip ramp. Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors has directed the town to develop an alternative to the slip ramp, as the existing slip ramp is anticipated to ultimately be removed in the future. One of the options identified for facilitating the removal includes a potential for an east-west road leading directly to the proposed frontage road. However, it is important to note that the closure of the slip ramp can certainly proceed independently of these options and designs. It is also important to understand the differences between the east-west road alignment between the 2 scenarios. So for scenario 1, perfect, still up there, the east-west road, which is this one, right up here, Will be connecting 112th Street near the northern extent of this ASP area and is proposed to cross land that is currently privately owned, then extend east towards the frontage road that's proposed right along the highway, and then to extend south to connect to 24th Street. For scenario 2, the east-west road would connect from 112th Street east further to the southern part of the project area. Perfect, so we're talking about this one down here, also connects directly to 24th Street, and also through land that is currently privately owned. Both scenarios require transportation infrastructure to cross those lands. Like I said, they're currently privately owned. At this stage, the ASP does not determine the timing, the method, or the mechanism for acquiring these lands. Future steps may include subdivision-driven road dedications, offset levies, developer-led construction through the ASP build-out process, or other tools that are available to municipalities under the Municipal Government Act. The ASP will identify the general alignment, needed support for long-term mobility and safety, but the exact timing, the exact location, and the implementation techniques will depend on future development applications and with council direction. For our key issues, the selection of preferred transportation network scenarios. We have presented 2 different scenarios before you today. Each scenario has different long-term implications for subdivision layout, traffic circulation, and landowner impacts. Frontage road consideration. Scenario 1 includes a frontage road, and scenario 2 does not. However, V3, our consultant, does note that traffic engineering may ultimately require one. And slip ramp removal, while the town is working towards closing the slip ramp, it is important to note that the closure of the slip ramp can proceed independently of the frontage road. Both V3 and town administration believe that scenario 1 is the most strategic option for the area for the reasons that have been identified. The desired outcome is to seek committee of the whole feedback on the 2 proposed transportation network scenarios to support refinement of the Northeast ASP and the functional servicing report. The feedback received today will be shared with our V3 consultants, and further insights will also be gathered at the 3rd and final landowner engagement and public engagement sessions, both of which are scheduled for June 23rd. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Sarah. Do we have any feedback on these 2 scenarios from the landowners at this time, or is this kind of the first?
Yeah, this is the first. We did receive that feedback back in February, but nothing since then.
Just a quick question. So with all of the construction that's there now with that high pressure line, is it to the further west? Is that where the road is planned? Because they're digging through there now, which is close to where that road is.
That's an APCO line.
There's an APCO gas line.
Main gas line that runs right down the back of those properties, that they're not. And I'm just wondering if there's still that room on that side for, because you can't run the road over top of that gas line.
That's a good point. I'm actually not aware of exactly where that is taking place. Do you know?
I know there's a gas line back there somewhere. Whether that conflicts with the road or we can build on it or not, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I think it's a great point. Well, why don't we bring that back to V3 and make sure we get that right?
Yeah, they can look into it.
Yeah, because they're redoing a whole ton of the sections there, and that's quite a wide area that they're taking up.
And you have some roads, like Center Street has a high pressure gas line underneath it.
It does.
That we have to look at.
That's a good point.
Oh, it was just a question, because I see all that construction back there.
Who's V3?
Oh, yes, V3 is the consultant that we have hired to complete the ASP document.
Do we have any update on how much they cost?
Yes, we do have we have a full budget that has been adopted by council. Would you remember how much it was?
253.
Thank you.
253.
Sorry?
200.
$253,000. In that ballpark. Maybe this little bit.
Thank you.
So, comments on this scenario, James?
Yeah, for me, I'm leaning towards scenario one. The only one concern I have is how are we separating where we've got the 20th Street Northeast where it comes off of 498 and it comes right down to an intersection where there's residential. And the only, because that was one of our concerns is putting it along 112th originally, is just because you'd have industrial traffic with residential. So that was my one comment that I was like if you right where it says 20th Street Northeast,
Yes.
right there,
Yes.
that intersection, all of a sudden it turns into residential. I just wanna make sure that that residential isn't backing, like facing onto that road. Do you see what I'm
I
getting
see
at?
what you're saying,
Because-
yeah.
If it's truck traffic.
Yeah.
Right?
Cause one of the reasons why we wanted to build this road, this frontage road, is to get rid of the truck traffic that's going to the south.
So,
No,
perhaps
I know
it
that,
could go
like,
a little
if
bit,
it's residential area,
yeah.
you're just causing a lot of noise, right?
right,
We're gonna have, if we're doing industrial properties, look what happens with like Lafarge and everybody else along there. So,
so perhaps we could, put it a little bit further north and then still have a bit of a buffer going
Yeah.
through it or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it with B3, but that's a great point.
Jackie?
I mean, I also agree with this one. I think it's, for a few reasons, I think, you know, the point was to get that truck traffic farther away. I think it mirrors the other side of the highway as well, but also importantly, it allows those landowners to utilize their property much better. They can subdivide, they can have the two frontages, and I just think, other than you've just got these really long, really hard to develop pieces of property otherwise. So I think that's, for me, the most important value, is having that other frontage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other option just prolongs the problem we're
Yep.
trying to alleviate. And I like that the new road, I didn't really understand putting it right up against the highway at first, but I think it's just fine, and because it gets really, really problematic trying to split those properties with
Absolutely.
it, right? It gets real messy. And like Kathy said, this opens it up, that if they want, you know, a lot of them want their residential, their home, to be on that west side, and they want the business on the east end of those properties. So this allows them direct frontage rather than going through their own property.
Exactly.
It is right now, so.
And it also eliminates the need for those panhandle lots that we're really trying to avoid.
Right. Anything else? Scenario one is council's
Okay.
piece to proceed with,
Okay, thank you so much.
based on feedback from the landowners.
Yes.
I'm not new, am I, Ellie?
Thanks, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, aquatics expansion construction update. Kaylee?
All right, good afternoon. So yeah, I'm here for just a quick update on the aquatics expansion. So right now, within phase one, we continue to work just on that tile deficiencies. The lockers are largely installed, and we're just taking a look at some few tweaks in that change, or in the locker room. And we're just working on some very minor architectural details. In phase two, we've got the majority of that, the whole basin bottom of the pool is tiled. They've actually started tiling the walls now with all that scaffolding in there. The scaffolding was completed and installed and signed off last week, and so we were able to get up into the ceiling work and have an assessment completed on our trusses and our ceiling. By getting that scaffold system signed off, that's how we were able to get back into the basin and keep all the tile work moving along, because tile is a critical item for us. We are going to be getting up into that ceiling here tomorrow. The town is meeting with our consultants and our contractors up in there to discuss what was found. There is some remedial work to take place up there. To the extent we're not 100% sure, they're kind of talking about if you do it all versus if you do a spot treatment, where do you do it? What makes sense? And what makes sense with warranty within our contract? And what are we looking for longevity? Obviously, we don't want to be up in there anytime soon because it's over a pool. So we'll have to take a look at that and take a look at comparing the report to what we're seeing. The next step with that would then, of course, be determining, does that have any impact based on how, if they were to do some remediation in there, how they do it, and what kind of containment that takes place, and what does that have on impact of other work that's taking place down below. We're trying to expedite that work down below by keeping it moving right now, which is getting all those walls tiled up right now in the pool, because we don't have a lot of tiling left to do in the pool space other than getting that area tiled up. So we're continuing to work through with that. We're continuing to work through the lobby space, our new reception area, a new kids play area. We've got a lot of that drywall and bulk area in there. We'll have a bit of a shift coming up here when we're moving our front entrance space over, so we can start getting into some of that work in the field house that has to take part in this project. There's a small scope in the field house that we will get done here shortly. And so we'll see some minor shifts within the facility and how it's operating. Keeping in mind that we're trying to work around our lacrosse that's still in there right now. And then as we transition between lacrosse and our summer camps, it will largely take up a lot of that usage space during the day. Currently with our change orders, we're sitting at about 2.7 million in change. We are still have a few minor pieces on change directive 1, which is that outside landscape type work, asphalt, curbing. Again, we're really waiting on weather to clear up for us on that. No more large amounts of rain would be lovely. It's fairly minor wrap-up work, and we'll tie that in with the rest of the work that needs to take place out there, which is this the last little bit of landscaping that will take place that we didn't get done last fall. We'll get done now this spring. Our change directive 3 is largely complete because that was the repairs on the basin, and obviously we're at the point now where we've put the basin back together and we're ready tiling it up. We've already tested it, the waterproof test went well. Right now with our schedule, we're still projecting a September programming start, ensuring that all our programs start in September as we've been kind of projecting. What that schedule will look like will really be dependent on what our meeting is on Tuesday, or sorry, tomorrow, yeah, Tuesday tomorrow. And we'll have an idea as to how we can overlap the work and keep still the progress of the project moving and what is the extent of that scope of work. We will be able to bring preferably a range of magnitude back to council here, as we did specifically break that item out in that budget item when we did the extra request. So we'll bring that back for transparency to allow kind of where we landed versus what we had projected for in the additional funds. And that's where I am got for you guys today. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any council's questions.
Terrific. Thanks, Kate. Questions? Vicki?
I'm understanding that you're working with a consultant, a project management consultant?
That is correct.
Are we ever gonna hear from them, council?
As in, are you wondering, are they gonna come in here and specifically sit down and do a presentation, or?
Yeah, they've been kind of silent since I've been on council, and
Well, not really. They've been here a couple of meetings after.
Yeah, so the gentleman that has attended with me, Randy, has been WSP, and that's our consultant, it's our project manager
Randy's the
consultant.
guy. Randy's the
Okay.
consultant.
so they didn't identify, as far as, to my knowledge, as consultants.
they did, seemed right there at that desk.
So yeah,
They might have been, but
and they're there every day, so what they do is they're there every single day right now to ensure that the tasks that are on the schedule or the tasks that are being completed, we're ensuring that the right workforce is there. And so we see a weekly report from our consultant team to ensure that if they're seeing any areas, where are they seeing any areas of any concern, so that we can bring it up at the next construction meeting to ensure that we're staying the course with the schedule, and if we're not staying the course, how are we making up that schedule? So we can kind of get a really clear definition, so that we're not letting it lag months, it's you've had 1 week, how do you fix it now within that week?
Is there any way that council could see sort of a monthly report from them? So that we have some assurance that they're working as well as you. We know you're working.
I think he reports to Katie, doesn't he?
They do report, so we get 2 reports from our consultant, WSP, so we have them kind of on 2 tasks. The one task is to really be keeping track of Shandos and the contractors on site, because we have seen that slippage in schedule and we were wanting to nix that. So we have them going out there every single day. So we get a weekly report and a weekly set of photos from that particular portion of that contract. The other part of it is we do get a monthly report from WSP. I also meet with them every Monday, and then they're also at all of our construction meetings. So we're in very regular contact, and of course they're CC'd on all communication that goes back and forth with either the consultants or the contractors.
And I'm glad to hear that they stay in contact with you regularly. I'd like to see that monthly report.
Okay,
I think council should have a look at those as well.
okay.
Anyone else? So this abatement, when we did the budget increase, we allocated $500,000 to this.
That's correct.
Knowing that more than likely something was gonna have to take place. If it's a full abatement, do we know if the 500 covers it?
At this point, no. We won't know that they're working on the range
No,
of.
it doesn't, or no, we don't know?
Oh, no, we don't know, sorry, we don't have the information yet. We're hoping to have a range of magnitude for the different alternatives that will be presented to us, either hopefully by the end of this week, so we can even start digesting where we move forward on
Okay.
the abatement portions. I think right now they're trying to evaluate like where we are in the construction phase to determine how do we even contain to do whichever abatement needs to take place, and to what extent.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait for more information on that. Anyone else? Questions, comments?
No, I got a bunch of little micromanage things, but that's not my job, so that's your job, so thank you for that, Katie. And you stay on top of that stuff, so appreciate it.
I will mention one thing on the micromanaging. Remember we were talking about when we were talking about, like, is this a trip hazard or is it not? Those little edges that.
I think that's where my head was.
Interesting. I had the kids at the Seton Pool. The exact same thing exists at the Seton Pool. The exact same transitions that we're trying to fix and make better. They exist at the Seton Pool, and I asked one of the lifeguards, do you ever have any issues with this? And this is a lifeguard. I said, no. And he said no. So he said they're never.
When you say it's the same, like
That little
leveling?
Yeah, in the zero entry.
Yeah, yeah.
Where there's that little, and there's the curved lip, which you won't cut yourself or anything on, it's just a lip there.
Yeah.
But at Seton, it actually goes around the whole edge, it's not just on those, like ours is better already because it's direct slope, there's no lip. At that one, there's a lip that goes all the way around the whole thing. So
And I wonder if that's just because of the transition of the eye seeing dry to water, that there's a little bit more, we naturally have more tendency to pay attention to our stepping, and maybe that's why we're not seeing a lot of tripping.
Yeah.
But it's hard,
He
yeah, when
said
you're
that-
seeing
He said
it.
there was no, it was just funny that I noticed that after you and I.
You start to
Jared,
notice
we're
all the stuff when you go to those
talking.
places afterwards.
Yeah.
I was just glad to hear that they could still work on the old basin while that dance floor was up. I assumed that everything had stopped in there, so.
It had
That's
only,
great.
yeah, it had only stopped while they were constructing the scaffolding, because they had to ensure that then an inspector comes in to ensure that it's all secure and it's all safe and it can handle all the weight that's being put on it, so that we were not having any concerns down below. Yeah.
So they can still tile underneath?
Yeah.
That's correct, yeah,
Yeah,
they leave
Yes.
it away from the wall so they could still tile the walls.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a pretty impressive structure
It
to
is.
put up in there. Okay, thanks, Caleb.
Perfect, thank you.
Investigator Calgary, Jocelyn.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here today to provide a brief update on the Invest Greater Calgary partnership. As a reminder, this is a 3-year partnership that advances and coordinates regional approach to identifying, attracting, and supporting significant economic development opportunities. Project partners continue to meet monthly, either in person or virtually, with alternates attending as needed. While partners have hosted meetings, the town of High River has not yet done so and is encouraged to do so. Branding has been completed and the logo is attached to the report. The value proposition study has also been completed and was circulated to you confidentially. The launch event is scheduled for IGC, will be held on September 17th. Invest Greater Calgary has requested all partners participate in an environmental assessment meeting. The purpose of the meeting is for the IGC lead to meet with any relevant members of administration to better understand the municipal environment, community profile, and overall capacity of the community. The process will inventory and evaluate various factors that influence investment readiness, business capacity, and overall economic development capacity. The session would be 2 to 3 hours roundtable discussion and could include members of planning, engineering, councillor, or anyone else that we deem appropriate, with 5 to 7 participants. Administration is seeking feedback from council on how often you'd like to see reports and updates.
We're just letting them in run with it.
There are no councillors at these meetings. The environmental assessment, though, councillors are welcome.
So there'll never be a counselor at any of these meetings? This is entirely administratively
Driven?
driven?
Yes. The meetings, though, the events are hosted, like the launch event, council was invited to that.
But as far as directly involved in the meetings and the discussions
Yep.
and decisions,
Administration,
administration only, no council from any community.
which is why I'm here to talk to you.
Perfect.
So then, if we're making decisions as a community on our involvement, you or somebody from the administrative team would come to us as council and say, this is what's being thought, presented, proposed, what do you think?
Yes.
It doesn't, administration doesn't act in a silo on economic development.
And it depends on every community.
Thank you, I'm not,
Yeah.
take it the right way, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you guys aren't capable to fulfill your positions, but just wanting to understand how the council at the time, whether this is this council or a future council, gets to interact and participate and contribute to those types of decision-making processes. And I see at some point there's gonna be dollars involved in this more than what we're doing right now at the $6,400 level.
Yeah, and I think the key thing for council members, it is a 3-year pilot project at that $6,400 level right now. We still have to measure what the benefits are to the town of High River, and being at the table allows us that opportunity. But we've recognized that economic development is quite a political entity.
No.
31 years of experience. Right? So I think, at the end of the day, economic development's really, especially in this community, is really a political entity from that perspective, not administrative. And so this is kind of where we're at conflict, sitting at that table, on the table, all these other groups are trying to attract investment to their own communities, driven by their administration versus driven by the council. So something we're watching, right? I think, Jocelyn's keeping me well informed of what's going on taking place there, but I think it's something as we continue on the next 2 years of this pilot project. One, what the investment's going to be in the long term, and what is the actual overall benefit for our economic development from this community, and if it's delivering the products that they're saying. And that's study that was circulated to kind of identify two kind of key core areas that we should be focusing on, right?
But the Collier study?
Yeah.
What, I couldn't find a date on it, when was that?
So the one that was circulated to council was actually the full partnership, the regional one, it wasn't the sector study, I hadn't shared that one yet.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it was just, I'm not sure what the date on, maybe
April.
April, I was like,
Chinese
yeah,
one.
okay, perfect, yeah.
Well, how often do you guys meet?
Once a month.
Is there any plan moving forward for community consultation?
With Invest Greater Calgary, no. Because Invest Greater Calgary is just a regional partnership, so it would be up to each community to do their own community consultation.
So is there any lead time before you're making decisions or requesting decisions for us to generate some community feedback?
We can, yeah, at the end of the day, Councilor McDonald, we can always create that in that space, and, you know, the other partners may proceed with something, but we can always be kind of lagging behind a little bit if we want to make sure that we're engaging the community and getting the feedback from the community from that perspective. You know, I think a lot of it is going to depend on I think when we circulate the sector study, you'll see that this Invest Greater Calgary is really going to focus on those two sectors from that perspective. And I think we need to, we need to do our own work within our own community from that perspective when it comes to engagement, because it may be right, it may be wrong. And so we need to make sure that we're kind of truthing that out on our own as well.
That's what I would like to see as part of moving forward with this.
Yeah, and I think this is still, it's still early days in the Invest Calgary kind of structure. And I think there's a lot to learn. You know, economic development in this kind of form, especially in Invest Calgary, forges on by itself without a lot of political involvement. It's all about creating jobs, it's creating economic opportunity, it's about investing money, it's about attracting investment and making sure the environment's right. And when you get into the smaller communities, there's a little bit more challenge in, say, the city of Calgary when it comes to economic development, doing the right thing for the community.
I'm just thinking of the huge challenge that Olds is dealing with right now, massive. And I don't want to see us get into that kind of spot,
Which is what, sorry?
the data center.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's, that kind of thing you impose, with the best of intentions, if you impose things like that on a community, it's far better to talk about them first
Absolutely.
than try and fix it later.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, that's something that's on our radar from understanding data centers and understanding how impactful they are to communities. And I think we need to continue that understanding. Well, that's my belief as well.
Economically? No.
Oh, yeah,
Any industry
but having
can have that an
Absolutely.
impact,
Yeah.
any industry.
and having the right bylaws in place before they tell you have to have one.
And we won't see one in High River, we'll see it on the outskirts.
Yeah.
It'll be in the county, but there's already one proposed, but that's a whole other conversation, getting into the data center that I'd love to have one day. But this regional table is going to be, it's the same group as the CMRD primarily.
Pretty much, just without two members.
Just with what?
Without two.
Without two?
Yeah, Okotoks and Foothills County.
Maybe
Like for the other regional
Oh,
table. This
that's-
one has them, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for Invest Greater Calgary, Foothills County and
Yes.
Okotoks are in, so it's
Yes.
the old CMRB group.
Yes.
The GCRT, the new CMRB, I gotta quit referring to that,
Yeah.
does not include Foothills and Okotoks. But this, it's the same thing that we experienced with CMRB. That most of this is going to be focused on Calgary area you're talking. That's where most of this is going to be. So it's up to us to decide at some point in time. Yeah, it's only $6,400 with this pilot project, but it'll give us the information to see exactly what Chris was saying. Where's the value to High River? How do we fit into this, and will we ever benefit from anything this group's doing? So we will continue to monitor with your guidance.
I think for updates, like, I mean, I don't know, monthly, if nothing comes out of that meeting, that is, I don't know, too important, I don't think an update's needed, but
Yeah.
a regular update I think would be okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Jocelyn.
Significant things.
Significant things.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Snow and ice control, 2025-2026 season update. David and or just David? Oh. But just David doing it?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Yep.
Here to share a summary of our snow and ice control operation for 25-26 winter season. We followed our town and snow and ice policy. Overall, this past winter was relatively mild for the first half of it, but was very heavily backloaded. We received a total of 154 centimeters of snow this year, with 110 of that coming after mid-February. The first major snowfall event occurred in late November and presented a few challenges as it started as rain, and then it became a heavy wet snow, and our smaller machines had a bit of a struggle with it. The condition of the snow and the ice, particularly on our pathways especially. Following this event, we had a meeting with our operations team and particularly about the Happy Trails network. We adjusted our clearing approach so that crews now complete a single pass on all pathways, whereas before we would clear wide, like full width when we were clearing as we were going. Well, we decided to change that to be single pass everywhere. Let's get everybody moving on the pathways, and then we can go back. While that means going back, it still was able to get everybody moving and actually using our pathways, and now we'll widen it after that. We also decided to look into, we have a smaller loader that sits at our recycling center quite a bit, and so we looked into how could we utilize that a little more when it came to some of our larger pathways, the canals, 12th Avenue, some of that stuff. And so we have a box blade that we use for moving gravel in the summertime. How can we use that for moving snow in the wintertime? So I personally went out and tried it myself because I measured it, and it's the exact same size as our canal pathways and stuff. And so we ran that and started using that on our canals and things like that to make that quicker clearing, because with our smaller green machines that you see around town, it would be 2 and 3 passes up and down that to try to clear our canals, 12th Avenue, even the bypass. So we started using the larger machines for that. Still had to use our small machines on all of our critical. Even the berm behind here is a little too steep to take the big machine, so that one was still done with the green machines and all the interior stuff. We continued focusing all of our snow plowing on driving lanes only, not clear curb to curb. That allows our response time and overall efficiency during major snow events. Weekend and holiday pathway clearing is contracted out, allowing the town to just focus on the snow plowing with our on-call crew, and they would just do one pass as well, the Happy Trail guys, which was Summit Property Group. They also clear all of our town facilities and high pedestrian areas. We continued to use Summit the last year of their 1-year extension. This is currently under review for a new RFP going out in 26-27 season. Our agreement with Volker to clear Center Street and 12th Avenue still remains and is also in the process of being reviewed for future. From a materials perspective, we continued reusing our street sweepings, mixed it with some salt to make a pickled sand mix. This season we used approximately 513,000 kgs of sand, and we used just over 5,000 liters of brine on the road as well. We continue to follow our road priority system as outlined in our policy. Priority 1 routes, including major roads, emergency routes, and school zones, are cleared promptly using both town crews and contracted services. Priority 2, the town facility parking lots, Happy Trail service roads are cleared in combination with Priority 1 as the resources permit. Downtown sidewalks, accessible areas were cleared daily by 8 a.m. with snow piled in parking lanes for early removal by town crews. Sidewalks at the RCMP, BSRC are cleared also by 8 a.m. by our town contractor as well. The sidewalks at Monday Park and their stairs at Mundy Park are also cleared by the town contractor Summit Property Group as well. They have 24 hours after the snowfall to clear that. The happy trails were cleared by town crews on weekdays and contracted services on weekends and holidays, as I mentioned. The total contracted snow service cost for this season was approximately $208,000. This increase compared to the recent years is largely attributed to the higher snowfall amount, as you can see by the snowfalls on the end. It's also based on that weekend pathway clearing, because obviously it's a charge based on how many times they come in. If they don't have to come in for a weekend, there's no charge, but if they do, so if we have a snowfall over a weekend or a holiday, then they're called in to do that snow removal. The resident feedback this season focused primarily on the timing of our pathways again. Particularly within the happy trails, many residents expressed concerns regarding how long pathways take to clear compared to the 24-hour requirement it is for them to clear their own snow according to the bylaw. The operational changes implemented this year significantly the signal path clearing approach and improved equipment allocation are intended to address these concerns by improving early accessibility, even if clearing occurs in stages. While this season presented some early challenges and significant late season snow load, our operations adapted effectively, we moved efficiently, maintained service standards, and continued to evolve based on operational excellence. And that's it. Happy for any questions.
Well done. Thanks, David. Questions?
Not really questions, I think this year, I heard, I'm gonna say a lot less complaints. Removing snow in 24 hours, you have how many kilometers of pathways versus the, 10 meters in front of your house. Kinda not even comparable. I think you're doing a great job, and I appreciate that. Depending on how much snow we get and when we get it, definitely makes a difference on what our snow clearing amount would be. But yeah, I think good job.
Michael?
The single pass down happy trails. When you were doing it, clearing everything in one pass, going back and forth, how many times you had to do it, compared to doing it a single pass and then having to go back from a operational utilization perspective, are you using more time to do that single path and then going?
It probably is a little bit more time overall. I would say in the long run of it all, it probably takes an extra day to fully clear everything out more than when we were doing it as we go. But it was just the fact of getting the people on our pathway.
Yeah, I'm not saying right or wrong, I like the decision, or I like the decision to get it done so that people can go and use the pathway. I'm just wondering from a financial perspective, what it means in terms of efficiency.
Well, I think the other piece of clearing the pathway right away, it reduces the buildup of compact snow and then icy from that perspective. It allows us to get a handle on that and clear control of that. And so, the faster we can get one pathway one swipe cleared off, the faster people are using it, and we got less compact snow and icing issues that we're doing.
And then it makes me think of, is one pass enough through the winter? I know during the summer, I see the utilization of, I know I'm on the happy trails with my dad in his wheelchair now, so that's kind of where my head's going, and people with mobility aids, whatever it might be, bikes and things, utilizing the whole width of the pathway. But in the winter, I don't think we're seeing as much of those types of things used, and it's more just pedestrian walking. So do we need to?
Sometimes it would be also hard with the drainage though. If we don't clear it all the way, then we get that build up on either side. Now we start getting our freeze thaws and then it sits in the middle, right? So at least if we get it grass to grass, then it's got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Kathy?
But I really like the single pass. What I like about it is I suspect that, especially because of our late snow this year, that Mother Nature looked after those other passes on some of those pathways. So I think it's the way to go. And I just, like Jenny, just wanted to share my accolades, but more so I had 3 residents come up to me over the past probably 6 weeks and couldn't say enough about, they were very impressed with the clearing this year. So kudos to you and your team.
Thanks.
Yep.
The new plow truck, is it big enough to take over what Volker's doing?
As we getting close. We did experiment a little bit that we would send our trucks out, but the biggest thing would be is it's big enough, And then we just have to follow it up with a couple other, like with our other belly plows or with the grader or something to push it off the rest of the way. But yeah, our truck is not gonna be that much smaller than what Volker's already using. It's just it has a different blade on it. Volker uses more of like a blade that really throws snow, whereas ours, because most places we use it, we don't wanna throw that volume of snow. So we have more of a straighter blade that just kind of pushes it, so we would just have to follow it up with a second one.
And on the Happy Trails thing, I love what you guys did, even a narrow path gets people going, and there's Saturday, snows Friday night and Saturday morning, they wanna be out walking, and having that one path is fantastic. You did a great job. My question is do you have the gear necessary to do it?
As the town keeps growing, you mean?
As the town keeps growing and to do it as well as, you know, you see other communities, and I shared this with council a while back, as to some of the equipment that's out there for these pathways, to snow blowers and everything else that's out there, so.
We did demo a few for this exact reason this year. Actually, Chris came with us and demoed some stuff.
Yeah,
because we are,
I was quite upset.
because of that, we are looking at, as we keep growing, if you look at Montrose alone, like, we keep taking over more of it and more of it and more of it. And some of the pathways that are, and sidewalks that are gonna come in there, it does start to put a strain on us as it keeps growing, for sure.
And I think one of our biggest challenges is that we have a variety of sizes of sidewalks.
Yeah.
Right? So those green machines are the most unfortunately, the most versatile, because we have some really narrow spots that we can't get anything else into.
Right.
And so, you know, it's about diversifying our equipment. We talked about tool cats, we had the articulating machine that we tried out. You know, that was a big piece of equipment, actually.
That one alone, even the toolcat's a little bit smaller, but they still need the bigger pathways. It's still not gonna work in some of our downtown sidewalks, and like some of our older part of towns where we have pathways near parks and things like that, it's still not gonna work for that stuff. That's why those little green machines are still the most versatile for our community right now.
For sure, but if you've got, what are we at, 28 kilometers of Happy Trails now?
Even a little more than that.
We're cranking over 30 now, right? So, you know, having a dedicated machine just to do the wide Happy Trails is not out of the question, because just saying, well, we only want one machine to do all of it, well, we might have outgrown that mentality, right? We just need, I want to make sure you guys have the right gear.
And I think also it's being cognizant of when we update subdivision services standards for development purposes, and when we're doing capital green investment projects in a part of our town, that we're making sure that instead of going with a 1.25 meter sidewalk that's in the standard, that we are doing a 2 meter wide pathway now, right? And we're making that jump, because at 1.25, I'll tell you right now, you and I couldn't walk side by side, right?
I'm not saying that.
But I'm just saying that, you know, at the end of the day, we've got to, if we want to have more, encourage more mobility, then the wider the sidewalks and the wider the pathways we build. To about 3 meters is probably the max that you want to go to. And the more of that you get with capital reinvestment and as well as new development, then those are the things that we need to see in policy from that perspective moving forward, so that we can then standardize equipment to the bigger stuff that is more multi-purpose from that perspective.
Well, it's good you brought that up, because that was my question. Does planning and development know how to standard for the pathway? And if we don't, let's talk about it as council and create a policy with that.
We're working on updating them right now.
A couple of things. Snow removal, what do you do with, when you're removing snow and there's a community mailbox, is there any
The mailbox
consideration?
itself is usually taken care of by, whether the Bud Canada Post or,
The delivery person.
yes, the delivery person.
I realize that, but if there's like at the library, there's an area where you pile snow and there's a community mailbox.
And part of that library issue was, I wasn't clear enough with the crew.
Yeah.
All that snow was always supposed to be on the, what would that be? That would be the north side of, so then that would be away from those mailboxes. But a couple of the crew members came in and kept putting it to the south, but all that snow was actually supposed to pile in the north end of that bump out, which would actually take it away from the mailboxes for that exact reason.
And then on First Street and Seventh Avenue Southwest. There's a corner that I think is owned by the town. And that seems to be another area where snow is collected. And there have been some falls there because of the ice developing there.
It's that little park, it's kitty corner to Rotary,
Right beside those row houses, right?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is our clearing for sure, that's town clear for sure.
Yeah, just, there've been some falls there
Oh,
because
okay.
of ice and snow. So if you could pay a little more attention to that, I think that would help next year, or just keep it in your back pocket. Information. And so, post office might be responsible for the mailboxes, but they sure don't respond very well.
No, that's Canada Post.
Yes. I'm not able to get my mail for half the winter because I can't get to it.
Yeah, it's their responsibility to maintain access to those super boxes.
I think there's one contractor in town that does it. Just one person.
And a lot of them are sunken low, so if there's a mill, there's like,
Yeah. Well, and there is a program, Canada Post is supposed to be replacing a lot of the super boxes with the new super boxes that you see. So that is a program that we're waiting on to see, get started up here in the older parts of town.
What's happened to the Southwest?
New pads.
hmm?
They do the new boxes, they're putting in new pads and stuff,
Right now mine's are hollow.
so.
Any other questions, James?
The one thing I'm not saying it has to be in this next one, but that I'd like to see is, because I've been involved with municipal snow and ice removal at a really high level, I guess, with the city of Calgary, is just trying to create something where we actually have, Okotoks does their GPS on their road, they put it on their, all their trucks and graders have GPS, so everybody trying to phone in can actually just look online and see where they are. But also the contractors, like for liability, just, you know what, we did one pass here and then it captures a photo or whatever it is, or a GPS data, just, then that way customers can say, well, you haven't been here, and they're like, you actually went down this road.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Calgary, I mean, that was a little bit different, but there's apps, I think you talked about our new program that we have has the ability at some point to be able to.
Yeah, citywide, it does have some abilities to do that, and you know, also integrating technology into the trucks and the equipment as well with dash cams. One, from an insurance perspective, if there's any crashes, right?
Yeah.
But also good from that, from documenting the routes, what the impediments may be. And, you know, the camera stuff has worked really, really well with our garbage trucks when we've had to pass picking up garbage because it was too close to a car, right? Those types of things, and it's worked really well, so it's something that we can certainly take a look at, add some more technology. We do have GPS in all our trucks.
We have GPS, but just not readable that same way as, it's more of, hey, our truck went missing, let's go find it, or something like that, but not a readable live data one.
Yeah.
Michael?
If we put 500,000 kgs of quote-unquote sand,
Mm-hmm.
rock, onto the roads, how much do we collect when we go back to street sweep as a?
We're probably about, I wanna say a third to almost half, it's probably more like a third though. By the time, because what happens after we sweep it all out, now there's all the organics in it, all the different things that get mixed in with it over the year. So then by the time we separate that out, I would say probably a third of that.
So on the initial collection, is it close to what we put on the road? And then we have to,
It's still quite a bit less,
Quite a bit less.
yeah.
Just wondering where it goes.
Storm drains.
In the grass.
Yeah, the sides of the roads.
Yeah.
My garage.
Go sweep her garage.
If you wanna take a look at some of the roads that have kind of lips on them, right adjacent to the fog line, that's the buildup of gravel.
That, like 12th Avenue's that way, Center Street right now, where you see everybody pulling into that like mud that's there, kinda just after the line and bridge, that's mostly due to just that much sand sitting there.
Do you have adequate signage available for when you're doing the street cleaning? Because I know it's very frustrating. I have people on Third Avenue who just routinely leave their cars there and your machines have to go around them all the time.
That would have been just the original, like, he'll do especially Third Avenue, he'll kinda do passes every time he drives it, just to thin it out to make it easier when he actually gets in to do it. But Third Avenue we'll actually be there probably within this week-ish, and you'll see quite a bit more signage there for sure.
But only if my neighbors will load their cars. Do you
That's-
have signage to tell them to do
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Okay, I haven't seen it on
Yep.
my particular street, but
There's always signage, but how do you actually, is there anything you do to get people to move?
Well, we'd have to, like, as long as it's there 24 hours, then we could talk to Austin and bylaw, and they can
Go
come
knock on
out,
doors.
and they'll, whether knock on doors or call, but that's really time consuming for them too, so. But hey, Austin has come and moved the few that have been problem cars for sure.
Okay, next one, the snow maintenance scope of work review.
All right, the purpose of today's briefing is to gather your feedback on the proposed scope of work for the town's contracted snow removal program, as administration prepares to move forward with a new request for proposal for our downtown snow removal. As council is aware, the town delivers snow and ice services through a combine of internal crews along with contracted services. This approach allows us to balance efficiency, service levels, and available resources across both the roadways and pedestrian infrastructure. Contracted service continues to play an important role in maintaining key areas throughout the community. These include our downtown, some town facilities, and then the weekend and holiday service coverage for both Happy Trails and these town facilities. The downtown snow clearing program was originally introduced as a temporary initiative following the downtown revitalization project. Its purpose was to improve accessibility, support local businesses, and enhance the overall experience for residents and visitors. Based on strong results and positive feedback from the downtown business community, council made this program permanent. Since that time, the contract has continued to evolve with refinements made to better reflect operational experience and growing service expectations. Similarly, weekend and holiday clearing of the Happy Trail Pathway system began as a pilot project during the 23-24 season. This pilot proved successful and received strong positive feedback from council, the community, and administration. It was then approved as a permanent addition in 2024. Overall, the contracted program has been effective. However, through several seasons of experience, administration identified that certain services expectations were not clearly defined in the original contract. This resulted in some inconsistencies in service delivery and times, differentiating interpretations between administration and the contractor. Examples include clearing around benches, trees, light poles, incorporating additional pathway connections, and confirming snow storage locations within our downtown core. As we prepare for our next procurement cycle, administration has reviewed and updated the scope of work to reflect current operations, service expectations, and lessons learned. The intent is to ensure expectations are clearly defined, consistent, and aligned with council's priorities. Key elements of the proposal scope include a defined service period from October 15th to April 15th. So it used to be only till April 1st. But as in this year, we had to call them back as the snow kept piling up. Response times are also clearly established based on priority areas. Downtown sidewalks and breezeways are to be completed by 8 a.m., including weekends. The BSRC is to be completed by 9 a.m., and all other locations addressed within 24 hours of the snowfall event. This is very similar to what was already in place. Contractors will continue to provide weekend and holiday service for key locations, which allows town crews to remain focused on priority roadway clearing during these events. To further improve clarity and accountability, the work has been organized in defining service packages. Package A which is downtown sidewalks, breezeways, bump outs, and select town facilities. Package B is the RCMP detachment. Package C would be the Bob Snodgrass. Package D is Monday Park, where they clear the sidewalks and the stairs. And package E is the Happy Trail Pathway weekend contract. This structure is intended to ensure a clear understanding of service levels, priorities, and contractor responsibilities. Currently, administration continues to follow a balanced service model where contractors focus on downtown areas, facilities, and weekend coverage, while town crews manage weekday path clearing, priority roadways, and town facilities. Administration believes this approach continues to provide an effective and efficient level of service. At this stage, we are seeking council's input on the proposed scope of work to confirm that expectations are aligned before proceeding with procurement. Following council's direction, the RFP will be issued in July 26 through Alberta Purchasing Connection and the town's website, with the intent to evaluate proposals and award the contract by the end of August. If council wishes, administration can also bring it back. Thank you.
Any questions? Sounds good. Done?
Yeah.
You're all done, buddy. Thanks, Dave.
Good job.
Rainfall event debrief. Steve? One question, Michael.
Coming back to David.
David.
Sorry, David. Just coming back on that procurement side. Just a thought on the weekend clearing of Happy Trails.
Yep.
Well, that's an old number. I think it was 24, 25, and it was $2,360.
Yes.
I don't know where we're at now.
2470,
Okay,
I want to
yeah, I
say,
don't
but it
know the
hasn't gone up a
exact
lot, but it is a
number,
little bit, yeah.
My little head was spinning going, how much does it cost us to clear Happy Trails? Because $2,360 or $2,500 for a round number. Why don't we hire them all the time to clear Happy Trails? I just throwing that out there for you to maybe look at the.
It is something
Give it a
we've
little
talked about with the new GLs, is really tracking where we're at, because some of that's missing.
Yeah. Anyway, just a thought. Thank you.
Nice pictures.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's I guess happy to be back in front of you folks just after a couple weeks ago when we talked about the flood prevention and prep plan and the hazard season intro. We want to talk about the rainfall a couple weeks ago. As we started to get some more intel and information on what was forecasted, which we started to receive on May 28th, following one of our pillars about the safety and security of our community. Within that safety and security also comes recognizing the 2013 flood and the impact that that played on people and continued to play on people. And hearing the forecast of 75 to 100 mils of rain potentially coming, spring runoff, Calgary News reporting higher than average snowpack in the mountains, right? That all coupled with the cognizance and the appreciation of people and their anxiety of already building up during this time of year. Happy to say Public Works took an initiative, and upon hearing about the forecast immediately went out and started to flush some of the areas that are known as key pinch points when we get heavy rains. Those areas that pool water, to make sure that the storm system was as effective and efficient as we possibly could get. So Public Works started that, I would imagine, I think it was Thursday afternoon, Friday, they were out starting to flush those systems, Wednesday. Upon hearing the forecast, it was verified by Environment Canada and Rivers Alberta of what would be coming and what the potential impacts would be to the Highwood River. At no point in time during those conversations did we feel or perceive there would be any threat to the town of High River, other than that of the anxiety of the people, and that immediately shifted some of the focus to where we were going at. And you could see it. On Friday the 29th, we received a phone call, or the town general mailbox received a phone call from a concerned citizen very upset in regards to there was now water in Beechwood coming in on the low level, and please help me, for those who know the area way better than I do, on the Mercer lands and that low level crossing. Upon review of the flood preparation plan, we were indicating that 200 CFM for us to start to get water into there. Now keep in mind, the flood prep plan is designed by an engineer based on the river conditions and all the tributaries at that time. And that was done in 2014. DC Allen and myself went down there and took a look and confirmed the amount of water that was running through and forwarded some pictures off to our engineer to confirm what we were seeing was actually in fact not what was anticipated. And that was confirmed. At this point, we were joined by the RCMP who were curious what was going on and wanted to take a look, so we had them fly a drone. And then we sent our airboat out to try and confirm what we were seeing. Was it a beaver dam? Was it something else that we needed to address? Or was it, in fact, something has changed? After a conversation with Mayor Snodgrass and a beautiful education on a new animal that I've never heard of called a bank beaver, that was a beautiful conversation to understand that we actually have beavers on the Highwood River that move dirt. And he could have told me his name was Bucky the beaver, and I probably would have believed him at that point. But in talking with Foothills County, that is a concern that they have. What we did locate is that the oxbow that feeds off the river has actually been lowered by the beavers. So the amount of waterfall that we see and the CFM that we see actually starts to come into the oxbow at a lower level than anticipated from the 2014 flood prep plan. Not a concern though, because Beechwood is an area designed as a floodplain. So on the 29th, we did pick up Director Bruce and went for a drive to start to talk about what does this look like. On the heels of this, our neighboring communities, Diamond Valley, Okotoks, Calgary, Cochrane, Banff, Canmore, all opened up their emergency operations center. At no point in this did we even remotely think about it. We did put in some trigger points that if we needed to activate it, but we were very confident with the levels we were dealing with and there would be no impact. From that, we also had some of our neighboring communities close trails down, so we did make the decision on the 29th to close the Beechwood area for water over the trails for public safety use. The other challenge with this this is the first time we've had water over the trails since they've actually became a true trail system that are mapped and heavily used. From there, we began monitoring the river on a very constant occurrence, probably 12, 14, 16 times a day, the river was monitored. On the Sunday, we started to get the rain, and you could feel the anxiety in the community. For those that have been here, you could really start to feel it come up. And the decision was made with our SLT to increase messaging, as discussed with council. So we started on the 31st with 2-a-day messaging. And then shortly thereafter, we received a very interesting update from Rivers Alberta that they were in fact going to put a high stream flow advisory on the Highwood River. And I'm very proud to say that the Town of High River's messaging beat the Rivers Alberta data push by 4 hours. So that is impressive that we got it out to our citizens before the alert went out to them that it was definitely starting to come up. From there, no challenges were seen, and we did peak out on Tuesday at 186 cubic meters a second at a depth of 3.04 meters. You could tell that we hadn't seen water like that for a long time, just due to the amount of traffic in that pull-out area along the river. For anyone that drove down there, if you would have charged a nickel for every truck that pulled in there, we would have had a nice offset for the budget. But it did prompt some messaging to go out, and we did have a peace officer in the areas. We did have people running between cars and delays on the center street, and we didn't want to see that cascade into something different. I'm also very happy to announce that we had nobody jumping off the bridge during the river was up. And Jody did touch on the fast moving, but that water, if you looked at it or touched it or felt it, you would have been hypothermic in about 7 minutes from being in it because it was extremely cold coming out of the mountain runoff. So within the package, there's some, we did find at one of our walks when we were monitoring it, and for those on the Emergency Advisory Committee, I did put the pictures in just for you because that was a conversation on the water depths. We had a local artist, not sure how they did it or who did it, but they have a picture of a juice box painted on the bridge. So we watched the water get closer and closer and closer up on him to really disseminate the depth. So we thought we would add them in the packet just because it did come up at the Emergency Advisory Committee meeting. Upon conclusion on this, last Thursday we met as, Sonia was there from SLT, Nicole, David, myself, Trevor, Rob from Waterworks all met, and we quickly did a staff debrief on what went on. And I'm really excited, and I did also put it in your packages, the analytics from both the social media and the website analytics from comms. When you look at the social media analytics, 395,000 total views from the 29th to June 4th. So the messaging definitely reached out. A total reach of 196,000. 548 shares and 455 followers joined along the way. So I mean, those analytics are pretty impressive on the social media side. Comms also put out in their last press release, put out a survey. And I was a little nervous at first, because anytime you put a survey on the heels of something like that, you don't know what you're gonna get, but really happy and proud of the comms team work on this. When you look at how closely residents followed the updates, so there was 65 respondents when we pulled this data. I believe this morning there was 67, if I'm not mistaken. So 29 respondents, or 47%, followed it very closely. 32%, or 19 respondents, somewhat closely. 6% occasionally, 5% rarely, and 10% were previously not aware. How do updates help residents feel informed? 60%, or do the updates help residents feel informed? 60% was definitely, 27% was mostly, 6% or 10% was somewhat, and 3% was not really. Other one, how residents receive the information. This one kind of shocked me. 47% was the town website. 36% was Facebook. 5% was Instagram. So that kind of was a bit of a head fake for me. Clarity of the updates. 67% were clear, 30% were somewhat clear, and 3% were somewhat unclear. Now here's the great one. Do updates reduce uncertainty or concern? 63%, yes, significantly. 33%, somewhat. 3%, very little. So if we look at the somewhat to very significantly, a 96% said the messaging helped with uncertainty. So I believe, job well done. This has been the first time we've been challenged to this water flow level. It has, as you can see from the ICS form, we have captured as much data as we could along the way, which we are then going to articulate that into the flood prep plan to help really build that out. All the numbers we have in there are based off of engineering and not based off of true numbers. Our river is live. It's gonna move around, we're gonna get silt, we're gonna see some other pieces come along with that, but this gives us some true data for the first time since the system was into play to really start to work off of and build that plan stronger. Coupled with the fact on that is we went into this event a little bit blind. Due to the cloud cover, we lost our camera systems that are further out to monitor the river, and we were relying heavily on the Rivers Alberta, the app. And the other thing that we did find is the more it went on, more people logged on, the greater the delay became. So we kind of anticipated that. So good lesson learned for us. I'm extremely proud of our team that worked behind the scenes to make sure that this was definitely covered and watched very closely, and ensure the public had the most accurate and factual information and the most timely of the timely times we could get to. And there definitely was a challenge there. So lessons learned out of it. Curious of Mayor and Council, your guys' thoughts and lessons learned from there.
I gotta say kudos, because even my 16-year-old daughter and her friends knew when the next update was going to be. Not only that it was happening, but that it was going to be at 10 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whatever it was. I think it was great. I had 2 instances where I was in areas where this was a conversation, and it brought up that this is where you can find the information, and not by me, by the people in, one was a chiropractic office and one was in a grocery store, telling other people where to find information and that there was information. So I think that's great. The only thing I think that we could maybe work a little bit harder on is that, let people know that water is meant to go in these areas. Because they see it in Beechwood and definitely freak out, but letting them understand, and in Wallaceville, if it goes in Wallaceville, that they're meant to go there. I think that's the only thing that we could, maybe do a little uptake on, just so that people understand that just because there is water there doesn't mean that's a bad thing.
It's a good point. It was actually shocking on how many new residents that are here that heard about 2013 and the amount of questions had to be answered on what has changed from 2013, what has the town done? I mean, residents that have been here a long time know it,
Yeah.
but new ones coming in, it was a bit of a shock that there was that many that didn't know the history piece of it.
Yeah, and you could definitely sort of feel that increase of, I don't know, concern. There is rain coming this week, are we concerned at all?
None.
Are we gonna, if there is anything that we need to put out, we'll kind of do the same thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Throughout the hazard season, we're monitoring all of it very, very closely. And it's a good question because we did actually have messaging going around yesterday. So I'm not sure if anyone's seen, we had a special weather statement go into play for High River yesterday.
So where is this juice box? Because I know a lot of people go by the black pipe, right, and then that's covered, and then they go by the old train bridge blocks, and then those were covered, and then there's the bridge, and now that's the next sort of measure. I mean, I think that's kind of interesting, this little juice box, I don't know where it is.
It's on the southeast corner of the bridge,
Okay.
up against the canal.
Awesome.
As a counselor, I must say thank you. I really appreciated the regular information so that as I was talking to people, I could pass on that reassurance and direct them to where they could find the information. That was amazingly helpful. And I think a lot of people relaxed significantly that I noticed because of the work that you did. One thing I'd ask for administration, this is just my own anecdotal experience, but when I moved to town, I asked at the town office if there was any information they could give me about what remediation as a newcomer had been done. And they weren't able to provide me with that. So you mentioned the newcomers have a lot of questions, and yes, I can understand that because that information just was zippo available. Because I was looking to buy a house, I wanted to know where and what was going to be impacted and what had changed, and none of that information was available to somebody coming to the office, not to your office, but to the administration. So some sort of a package saying we've done since 2013, we've done, because it was a national news event, we've done this and this and this and this, and we've done everything possible to make sure you're safe and ongoing, we're monitoring. Something like that.
Yeah, there is right here.
I'm sorry?
There is.
Like on our website.
Oh, I don't know what's on the website. But
Yeah, like we used to have a whole section dedicated on our website for flood mitigation and what's, like everything, the maps, everything. I wanna make sure
yeah, it's
that's,
still there. It's in the top left corner of the website.
So-
Section information.
I was able to get when I bought my house, I was able to get zero information from the town office. They didn't direct me to the website, they didn't have a piece of paper they could give me, nothing. So that would be, for the newcomers, something to help answer their questions, even if you say, check this page of our website, something informative that would help people.
That is what we've been working on, though, was having the website be the center of focus. And if you go in here, there's a ton of information just by hitting flood. Or even Town of High River, it says the Alberta government has an entire fact sheet on what was done in the town of High River. So really, it's just, it's a quick search for sure.
Well, I'm just saying my experience.
yeah, it's fair enough, our front end staff should know where that information can be accessed from.
If I'm hunting for a house, I don't always have my laptop.
Yeah, exactly, no, exactly, you show up and you're doing other things and hey, front end staff, you know that.
I got the feeling that nobody wanted to tell me because they were afraid I might not buy a house in one area or another. That's how I felt.
Yeah. Okay. Number one, kudos to your team and comms as to how well you were pumping out that information and, when it was required. And the feedback that I've got has just been exceptional. There was one other event, I can't remember, Trevor, you might be able to help me, 6 or 8 years ago that we got in that 200 CMS range. But the comms that went out this event was 10 times better. And I didn't have anybody that said anything other than the town's communications over this has been absolutely exceptional. So very well done for all of you. I got some thoughts on the Beechwood Mercer closures, but I'll leave those to another time. One big thing is what you're saying about the new residents. New residents to High River do not know what 1830 CMS looks like. And they're questioning whether what we had the other day is that 1830 CMS. I'm like, no. That's why it's like 22 feet down from where we're standing right now. So it's an interesting thing that yeah, we've got like it's 13 years now. We've got a ton of new residents that don't know the full extent of the mitigation. I also heard a comment as, oh, the mayor only built berms on his side of town. Right? That's a full-blown, and they don't understand that there's a full berm system all through the northwest. There's a full berm all through the golf course. Everything is, the north end of High River is protected just as well as the south end of High River. 100%. So, you know, maybe we need to, you know, splash out our website information on our comms, maybe do some education as to, you know, for new residents, here's the maps of the actual mitigation works that are in place, because Craig didn't just berm his house up. So, a little bit ridiculous in my mind, but I also completely get it because the berms on the south end are very noticeable. Right? You know it when you're on a berm on them. And the north end, you don't, they just don't look as aggressive just with the topography as to what was required, so. Well done. Fantastic job.
It was a team effort, it really was, and that's why I wanted to get this, the ICS 214 in front of council to see the raw data and the folks that were working on the back end of this. And we did start early on, it was kind of a test pilot, but we started a Teams chat, and it allowed everybody to have the information seamlessly, timely, and that seemed to be out of our debrief, which really helped pull it together. Beechwood, I definitely want to chat further on that, especially seeing the levels that we're seeing that it's coming into that oxbow. Those are going to be a new challenge going forward, but hey, this is the first time we've been challenged, and now we can actually reference back, hey folks, 186 CFM is what you've seen here.
Yeah.
So we have a new gauge that we can start to work off of instead of that 1800. Just gives them maybe some real data, because you're right, Mr. Mayor. When you look at 1,886 cubic meters a second, and you think 10 times of that is what was really flowing, right? But you don't have a comparison unless you're a river guy or gal.
Cool. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor. Love your speeches all the time.
Heavily engaged, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. For council, are you okay if we skip Q&A and go to public comments to fit that in? Okay, public comments. Anyone? Al?
I have a question. I don't know if I should ask you or if I should ask Dave, but and the snow report kind of reminded me of it. On Happy Trails from 7th Street, walk going west beyond that pond, comes out the other end at, I think it's called Highview Gate. Anyway, at both ends of that section, they put in I haven't seen it for a while, but they put in a pipe vertically to block vehicles from going through there, I assume. But I haven't seen the pipe in there for a long time at either end, but there's a stub about that high.
Yeah.
Becomes a real tripping hazard. So my question would be, why don't you get rid of the stub and drill the hole in the asphalt and set the pipe in there? Whatever.
The reason that we leave the stub, we were delayed on getting them out for sure, but the reason the stub is there so they can be removed if there's, say when the parks team are going through and doing their work and stuff, they can pull that stub, drive in there, do their work, come back out. But if we take it out all together, then everybody is driving in there. And actually that pathway was one of the ones with all the graffiti last year and stuff, so.
Well, that's not what I mean though. If you take the stub out, so
Put
it's
it
no
in.
longer a tripping hazard,
Mhm.
and drill a hole,
Put it down
you
lower
can
than
still
the
put the
asphalt.
same pipe in.
Then it would just be, we'd have to dig a bigger hole because the pin is actually down in the bottom of it, what actually pulls out, so then you'd have to, so if that was below the grade of the
And you
ground,
need
then
to
you
pin
would be
it,
able to
you
pull.
need to pin it.
The pin's what holds it so that people can't just, a kid can't come and grab it and just throw it off to the side.
Okay, well, I'll leave it with you, but it's, you know, we walk, my wife and I walk through there all the time, and every time we go through there, there's somebody gonna trip over this thing, and they do it.
The bullards, they get put back in Friday.
Okay, thanks, Al. Anyone else? Okay, Q&A, council to admin. Jenny?
So behind High Country Rise, a lot of people walk their dogs along there around Cole Trail, Longview Trail. Going on the north and northwest side, that whole section is only weeds. So on the west side, there doesn't seem to be any weeds, but as you start to go north, northwest, it's all weeds. And so what's happening is they become seeds and they go into the yards of the people on that area. Is there anything we can do about it? Did you walk it, it's not even grass, it's just weeds.
On Cole Trail?
No, behind High Country Rise, there's, like, people walk back there, so they do one sort of pass, with a lawnmower, so people can walk their dogs and stuff, but yeah, like around Cole Trail.
It's
Can I answer that one?
Yes.
We do have a contractor do one pass as a fire break, but this year we're gonna be bailing that whole section, cause yes, it is troublesome. Yeah, I've talked to a resident that lives over there, and, I've talked to him a couple of times, and so we are gonna be bailing.
But is there anything you can do about, like, around behind my house is kind of, I don't know, grassy something, we don't have the weeds, but when you go around the corner, that whole thing is weeds, like, all of it, so all those yards are full of weeds because all those blow right into the yard.
Okay, yeah, we can take that.
Yeah, well, we don't apply herbicide or pesticides, so the other thing you can do is increase your mowing aspect of things to reduce any seed containing spread,
Yeah.
unless we change our policy and our operational policy.
Well, I'm hearing that's gonna be bailed, because last year, I mean, those dandelions were like this high, and they were, I mean, they're beautiful, I took pictures of them, they're beautiful. That doesn't help the people's yards, right?
Yeah, and we're having, the gentleman that I spoke with, the resident I spoke with, was saying that because of those higher weeds too, people just wanna dump garbage back there.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
And then there's been some other things happening back there, but we're gonna be bailing for sure. I know Darlene, from Parks has created a new mowing standard, and we're working on that together for next year, because that RFP comes out next year. So we can bring all of those things back.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they can bail back there, because it's pretty rough. Like, there's a lot of dips and changes in terrain there, and there's some buried storm infrastructure in there too. I used to walk back there all the time when I lived up in the Northwest. I
don't know if it's still there, but
There's a big storm pit.
Yeah, that used to be the drive-in theater out there.
Yeah.
There's some structures back there still in the ground.
So,
Did you walk through first?
yeah, I'll have to walk through it. There's a couple big, really deep holes when you get out there.
That's right on the corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from the old pilings, from the old screen that was in the corner.
You know, we weren't looking at doing north on Longview Trail. We're staying inside of Longview. Is that the spot that you're referring to, Councilor John?
Like the, yeah, because there's residents, right?
Yeah, Long Beach Trail, and so we're gonna stay inside of Long Beach Trail along that way. Does that make sense?
If you can, it'd be great.
Yeah, okay, I'll check comments early.
Vicky?
I've had another, expression of concern about that intersection, that Chris refers to as the bump. 3rd Avenue and 3rd Street Southeast, kids on their way to school, it's not gonna be, a few days, it's not gonna be an urgent issue, but they just don't look, they just go straight across, 3rd Avenue, and the traffic goes fast on 3rd Avenue. So some expression of concern about whether we can put anything on that intersection, maybe the north-south part of it, to either slow the drivers down or slow the kids down, one or the other or both. Because I've seen them go with scooters, just lively across. And
Want to put some bump outs out?
We have some.
I may have a speed bump, but anyway.
It's not a bad idea. It's actually not a bad idea.
I know.
It's not a bad idea.
No.
Put some traffic on the license there.
On 3rd?
Yeah.
3rd and 3rd.
Well, because the problem with that bump there
Yeah.
is that
It's a
people will
swale.
try and go around the worst part of that bump, and they'll go into the parking area, and they'll go across to the other side of the road to try and avert it, right? And so it doesn't give pedestrians much chance. The other thing too is that people park way too close to that crosswalk, and kids cannot be seen as they step out from behind the parking vehicles. So having some bump outs there would kind of solve that problem.
Brings that one, makes them visible.
No bump.
What about there's no push button lighted intersection there at all, right, on that one, so that's another
That was
We
one
did
option.
easy one to.
We did take it, run it through a warrant process, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what we did, because we've looked at this one before.
Just recently, we looked at this. Engineering just looked at this recently, and I think they ran through a warrant process.
They did, yeah.
What's a warrant process?
So they take a look at the traffic volumes, the speeds, the average speeds, and then they calculate warrant.
Well,
And there's nothing that warranted any significant.
Well, and if we put bump outs there, we risk a long report from Al Brander.
You should be sitting here.
I'd be very careful with your neighbors.
Better report.
I don't think the bump outs would stop the kids from blindly walking
They don't.
across.
They
which-
don't.
But it brings them into the sight of the traffic.
Brings them into the
When
sight of
they're
the
on the road.
It might, but you would be amazed how many people see Tower Hill as a challenge.
Oh, yeah, I'm
And
surprised.
they zoom up and down that.
And it's, at that intersection, it's not just kids walking out in front of traffic. There's been a couple near misses with adults that are not paying attention.
Oh, I don't love it.
So, yeah,
Anything else, Q&A?
we'll take a look at that.
All good? Meeting adjourned 2:45.